Dobar dan I dobrodošli na debatu na temu za...
Good afternoon and welcome on Belgrade and Pristina Declaration on Missing Persons and the expectations that is organized by UNMIK assistance by the Media Center in Jakovica. We have Bayram Cherkini, the head of the National Commission on Missing Persons, and Silvana Marinkovic from the Association of Kidnapped People in Gračanica. Sorry for the changes in the panel. Milica Jovanovic should have been here from New Social Initiative, but she was unable to come. The representatives of Pristina and Belgrade, Kurti and Vucic signed an agreement to implement the agreements about the missing persons. We have 7 or 6 points, the obligations of both parties and the International Red Cross Committee and the International Commission on Missing Persons. Mr. Cherkini, we shall start from you. How do you see this declaration and what do you expect from it, and to what degree it shall help to know about the fate of 1,610 missing persons before and after the war in Kosovo? The floor is yours. The question, how I see it, I would like to greet this television, the media that are here present, and the two, as I call, sisters, daughters, who are trying to shed light into the missing person's fate in the painful associations for 25 years now. How do we see, or how does Bayram see it as the director of the resource center, the efforts of Ohrid and Brussels? For us, family members, it is still foggy. It is still not concrete. It is not how to call it the truth, what family members expected in Ohrid and in Brussels. Politicians start to speak about politics that is convenient to them, or they should see the part that should be humane and the part that is looking for a child, the son, daughter, brother, sister, mother, father, and so on. What does it mean to wait for 25 years without an answer for 1,621 persons? As the resource center, we do not differ Albanians, Serbs, Ashkalia, Egyptians, nor Turks. Not a single person that is still missing. The word is about the missing persons. And we are interested as a majority of what is going on in these meetings, let me call them of the senior level. And we do not see what is obliged with the international conventions to provide us answers as to what are they doing about missing persons. Since the beginning, I am involved in this process. I could not find a single word that I have not heard so far. With Rahman in 2010, I missed it, I don't know exactly, but anyway, we made a strategy, a 5-year strategy. All these points that politicians mentioned today, they were a strategy of 2010. I asked a question for the media. Do they touch do the politicians touch their head as to what has happened, something new, in order to stagnate for 24 months without holding a meeting of the working group of the government commissions? We have given many remarks that they have lagged behind because of the politics. Does it mean that the politics is protecting politicians, or they want to shed light into the missing persons' fate? Family members of missing persons had a meeting in Pristina, and among others, she started crying. She says that it turned that politics and everyone that come before the media, they protect criminals. For us, criminals have only one name, criminal. They protect criminals and not the truth. We demand, I reiterate, they have used a committee, a commission that would push the process forward, or the working group or the government commission start working and come to a common language that should be spoken on the human part and not on the political part. A great appeal. We had a great appeal, and we shall have the same one, that all the actors dealing with missing persons issue should get away from politics and go back to the humane part, as it used to be, and it will be the International Red Cross Committee, which is recognized as a humanitarian body in the European level that helps us in shedding light into the missing persons' fate and the other ones involved in this process. This is all for the beginning, and we shall continue. Thank you, Mr. Cherkini. Ms. Zhivkovic, what do you expect from that declaration? Shall it stay only on paper, as we had the case with some other agreements and deals that will remain on the paper, or the parties will implement them? Thank you. First of all, good afternoon to everyone, and thanks for the invitation. And in the presence of media and the interest for this question, it is very difficult as a family member to speak of a political agreement, because this is a political agreement, political deal, statement, whatever. I will try to be objective and to believe in what has been agreed on the 2nd of May in Brussels, although there is no news. The agreement itself deals with two issues. The first one is sufficient enough, which says that all agreements on missing persons should be implemented. The first and the only obligation of all is that they should be found. It is sufficient enough to make efforts to find missing persons. As a member of a family that from the very beginning I have been in search and finding missing persons, it is very difficult, this waiting and hopes. Another sign of the last agreement is that maybe it will unblock the last stopping of search for missing persons. But there was no meeting, no going forward, no reburial on missing persons. Also, as a family member, and I believe that all family members hope, and hope is something that keeps us alive. There is hope that This process, yeah, although I cannot find another word, and I don't think it's a good word for finding missing persons, cannot be stopped and should not stop and lose the humanitarian line. Since we agreed to be part of the political agreement, the political part is about the change of interest. The family members truly believe that at some time they shall be part of some interest of politicians for this issue to be resolved in the right and lawful manner, so that the fate of missing persons, what happened to them, and of course the people responsible for them who kidnapped them and kept them. And with that, all the family members. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Zhivkovic. Ms. Marinkovic, the same question for you. How do you see this statement? What do you expect from it? To what degree it shall help shed light into the missing persons issue? Shall it remain only on paper, or the parties shall obligate themselves to do something? Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for the invitation. It is a very important topic for us, and it's the topic of missing persons. Due to the fact that it has been placed on a political level, this is for us a great seriousness, since this question is humanitarian and it should not have any links with politics. But it has proven, as many times before, that this question is political. But it is not the first time that they are talking on this issue, and that they come to some agreements and make deals, but those deals have never been respected. Everything that has been signed on 2nd of May, it has already been signed and agreed within the working group, and it was the International Committee on Missing Persons, and all these points have been discussed, and it has been signed and agreed, but it was not observed or respected. And it is if it were the interest for this issue to be resolved, we had many cases to start from somewhere. The start could have been that those who have committed those crimes, and it is known who were they, because we have witnesses and evidence that many perpetrators of the crime, they should be interrogated and come to the start as to where to start from and work on the fate of the missing persons. But since it is not in the interest, especially now in the recent 2 years, it is normal that they were not interested, and nobody interrogated the perpetrators of those crimes, and no agreement has been reached, and no result has been shown. I hope, as a family member that has a missing person, that in a way they shall understand the seriousness of this issue, and to start from a start, and not to delay, and we families finally know about the fate of our beloved. Thanks, Ms. Marinkovic. Now we shall go on to the questions of media. Do journalists have any questions for our panel members? Thank you. Ardit Kika from KTV. Recently, there was an application of the government in the Committee on Missing Persons in ICMP that was not earlier. Do you expect any result that comes as a result of this, knowing that we have remains that have been reburied or unearthed. This organization helps on the identification of missing persons. It means of the persons who are unearthed and whose remains have been found to link them with their family members. This is a question for? I shall try to reply to this question. My friends are here, if I understood right. There are mortal remains in Pristina, which have been there for a long time. We don't have that many information as to what is going on with those remains. We know that a procedure has been started which shall help in further detailed identification of bodies that are there and linking them with family members who have missing persons. I really hope that it shall come as soon as possible to it, because many forensic people, and I think that the holding of those bodies is part of the politics as well, and our forensics people say that the bodies can say more than the live persons can say, and I really hope that when the science takes over the government in searching for the missing person's fate and linking them with their family members, we shall know much more about them and linking them with family members if there are, and we believe that there are. It is a painful topic, and I will go back a bit. I am satisfied, let me call Miss or Mrs. who says that I have a hope that the missing persons issue shall be unblocked in Brussels meeting. I think that it should be unblocked, but for the time being it is blocked even worse than it was. One. Two, the topic who has been working from the very beginning in organizations. When the forensic center was opened in Rahovec, Bayram Cherkin was involved in it. And very few people know what has been done for the forensic center in Kosovo. Jose Pavles, they made a criminal lawsuit that they are playing with the remains of the bodies that are in the Forensic Institute. I used it many times before media. I asked the then staff, and I asked, take my hand or leg or whatever part of my body, just with the samples that are found in the Institute. Do not play with them. The time is coming. I asked with Nikki, a person of the Balkan Directorate. I do not know his family name. He is the head of the mission. Imagine, as of then, only Mitrovica has reburied 81 bodies from 120 that were buried. 8 were wrong. With the initiative of Bayram Cherkini convincing family members that they should give blood and check. They stayed there. In the Forensic Medicine Institute, which is in Kosovo, I said it and I reiterate with strong arguments that the prosecution should work at least 1 year to shed light into the parts of the bodies that are there and to the people who do not believe to give blood for the DNA testing. From the dragged works in the missing persons issue or process, people have lost faith to give blood, although we have 2,000 people buried without DNA. Why do I say so? Because in Mitrovica, a man is found who has lost 4 sons. His door is closed. Who will make him give blood? People who trade with people. He sends trainers, tracksuit. It's not only your 4 sons, but there are more than 100 people that Belgrade is holding as hostage. When we spoke in Belgrade that this is what is happening, I received the answer and I have it in written, Veljko Dalovic. It happens to take children because, as you know, we have 111 people under 4 years age to traffic them or to sell them or to trade with them. But the grown-ups who were taken alive, we have no documentation that they are alive. We have it in written, but the non-working of the reality that the family members are asking for, they are not working and they play philosophy. They play philosophies in missing persons unit. I will say this one as well. I had a meeting a couple of times. He came to Mitrovica and convinced him to ruin down the memorial after 12 years because we have the part of the ex-person. Daria, don't make me that he has 2 missing sons, so it's very difficult for us to ask him to rebury it. We convinced him, and we had 3 people in 1 grave. It means a question that was made. They are not doing that much work inside. They went to Catherine to look for people to ask for them. The International Red Cross sent 2 people, and many other countries said that just work, we shall send you people. Now we don't have experts. We have 2 Albanians, they shall work. And for some years we always received the question that it shall be worked in the center, in the Forensic Medicine Institute, but for 2 years now there is no director. Artem Gurjaliu is withdrawn, the one withdrew, and still we do not have a regular doctor at the Forensic Institute. Why do I say this? I said that we do not have many information, and the information that we have, they claim that it shall be done, it shall be done. When shall it be done, Bayram? I have been waiting for 25 years, waiting in a nightmare, not only for my son. I speak very rarely for him, but I have to because time has come as my father has died and his father has died. We are a family that knows what missing persons mean, and today, at a time, and in the 21st century, it's not 21, it's not 20, but it's 23rd century. Now, After 60 years to take my children, shall we do it like that? It is the appeal of family members to get rid of the family person's issue and not to make it politics, but deal with the humane part, not of the International Red Cross, not international actors, but the local ones as well. We ask them, let them find a formula and sit down, because in Kosovo nothing has been done on this issue. If a dog has been killed, if a calf has been killed, I reiterate once more the word of a family member that they are covering the crime that was done against the unprotected population. As long as the criminal is protected and the truth doesn't go out, we shall still suffer for generations, because politics convenes to delay the process, both in the Forensic Institute and in general. I appeal again, let them help us, because you are the one that shall bring into the ears of the politicians and to seek another humanity. I do not know, before these media, what do we owe you? Let us say what we agreed in the senior level meetings. We expected a lot. We expected from the mediation parties, Americans, politicians. I had meetings with Lajczak. There was the institute in the resource center. It promised for the oversight committee. Now we have some other issues that I cannot mention here because of those that are listening to us, and they will say that they are fed up with politics. I want to get rid of politics. I would like to talk and discuss, as the question asked from the beginning. And I believe that we still have a project that we are supported and we are realizing it. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Can I be heard? Yes. Do you have any comment for the last case, I think last month, when we had military trainings in Batajnica, and as I saw, present were Serbia's president and the head of the Kosovo office, Serb list, and so on. From family members, dear media, was only Bayram Cherkini and Frank Jeta from the Government Commission. But from family members, I was the only one in Batajnica. There are eight places where we have more than 800 people. Satellite images have discovered that they went to the hunting part in Batajnica, military part of Batajnica. So we shed light into the fate of 800 people. What shall be done? Shall it be maneuvers because it's the shooting or hunting polygon? What happens within the military barracks? They are military and secret issues of the country that we have no right to interfere. But as family members, where we shall go on the 15th in Belgrade, we have asked to be allowed to place a plaque, to send flowers as we send them in Kosovo before the assembly, and to have a grave that was bigger for us in Batajnica. We have received the answer from them that we shall do it. We shall do a plaque, but not in Batanica because military rules are to be followed and you cannot go in whenever you want, or whenever you go, you have to go through checks. We agreed and we said, even before Veljko Odalovic and many other political and social structures that are in Belgrade, to have an obelisk where we can. On the 15th, we shall go and ask for it. And why hasn't it been done? Concerning Batanica, I regret a lot, but I must say, only now they mentioned when they need it politically, and very frequently it is said that it was the biggest massacre at unprotected people. To take them in Kosovo and to send them in Batanica is a big issue. They awoke just now to say Batanica, Batanica. Batanica was done at the beginning. They speak about Križevak, it was over. They speak about Sjenica, 20 buses. 40 people each, it means 800 people. Nobody mentions it. I saw Veljko Odalovic yesterday who said that where you start working, we shall be there 24 hours together with you. Come on, find a common language and start working. Forget what has happened. Let us family members ask for their rights to send flowers before places that are a nightmare wherever. In the middle of Slavia, and they go and send flowers because the strongest fighter, and we are not allowed to have a plague to go and put a flower, as we shall go on the 15th, thanking to the media and to the round table that they always said yes, but politics does not allow it. I should have said something about Batanica. Politicians comment them when they need it. I commented it every year, but they have never had. Now they are commenting why the military did maneuvers. The military does maneuvers every year. People come from America and from wherever, and they have family houses to teach children to start shooting with arms. But when I was in Batanica, believe me, I'm telling you as my brothers, there is no place that is not shaking in my body. There is nothing that does not shake when I saw how many bones have been taken out. It's very difficult just to mention and let alone to see it. Any other questions? Thank you, Ivan Milinkovic. Question for Ivana Salvina. Recently, since you mentioned Veljko Odalovic, he said that Pristina is blocking the investigations in 8 locations where there are mass graves. If you expect Pristina to start investigating in those places, and you, Mr. Cherkini, shall you organize and take flowers there? Have you ever taken flowers to Radonic Lake? When we know, for instance, in Velika Hoća, that for years the tables of journalists are taken off. I just want to hear your opinion on that one. Thank you for the question. We not only had the chance to go and put flowers where they are buried killed and Serbs killed, but we did not have the chance to go and visit them there. No one from our family members could go and visit those graves. Let us say Koshara is a place where it should be worked and exhumed, but it is all delayed. It is delayed, and let us say the whole of Serbia has been unearthed. Every place that's been asked for reburial, everything has been done. But the place where there are possible mass graves, where there were not only Serbs but even the Albanians buried, they are waiting for years in the exhumation of those mass graves, but we have only promises and nothing else. Many times we asked to finally understand the seriousness of this issue and to work on that potential graves. But as you know, let us say Žilivoda was the visit of the exhumation, and it was a kind of a fire. We follow, our situation is like that we follow everything carefully. That fire did not break out just like that. It has been set fire. As far as the monument, not only in Rahovac, we had a monument at the Ranko Merinić's place in Lukar, and that monument is being destroyed. That as a monument that was raised on behalf of the victims in Rahovac. This is a proof that the victims are not being respected. Unfortunately, politics is like that victims are not respected. And until those victims are not recognized, because this way they want to tell that those victims do not exist. They want to destroy evidence, and we know that especially at this time when this special court started with work, and when this is done and when this is exhumed, and if the morgues in Pristina would identify 350 more bodies, it would be a proof that people who are there, who are being tried at the specialized court, now it's not in the interest to shed light into it and to become known. In Pristina, there are more than 350 bodies there who are lying there. They have been packed in the most sophisticated methods. But that process has stopped as well. The process of identification has stopped, and wherever there are bodies, they should work. What should we say as families? We are very concerned, and we hope that politics will change. And although we don't want it to be part of politics, but this is part of politics, and we hope that it will change and start the right path to find the murdered people, and not only Serbians, but Albanians, Serbians, Roma, and every other nation, so that we could continue and find and solve other problems. And this should be initially, this problem should be solved in order to continue further. Thank you. Can I say something shortly? Thank you for the question. You mentioned 8 possible locations, and if we expect to start with the investigation of those locations, there are more than 9, but it would be good to start at least with 1 out of those 9. We don't have such possibility to remember them and to send flowers them and to be followed by media. At the local level, the missing persons day we gather at Velika Hoća and Gračanica, and in that way we try to respect missing persons. Although it's a fact that the specialized court has started maybe a bit too late, but it's never too late. It is what has been confirmed by the international institutions that there were 185 locations, improvised detentions where people were held. The indictment mentions only 44. It means that it is a large number that should be investigated in Kosovo. Another issue that was initiated by international institutions is the Yellow House in Albania, for which it is more than necessary to investigate, and I don't want to prejudice any situation as to what be proven there as truth. That story came out from international institutions and investigators. It is necessary to investigate it to the end. That story is awful, and all those people who wouldn't like it to be true are family members. And we know that the majority of our family members went there. We should know it. Just a minute. The declaration as the president of the missing persons unit. Has anyone contacted you before it is approval or to inform you about the details? And I think of Pristina and Belgrade. No, I was not informed in person. But I do not know if my friends were informed of it sooner or later. But in those agreements, about those agreements and declarations, we get notified from media and about the content of the agreement, only from media. I shall go back a bit to the question of obelisks. Yasmina explained it very well, that they are local parts where we can not know what's going on for 3 months now, and what they are speaking about some places marked with some obelisks. Even the politicians go and cry like mothers or sisters that know to cry for this issue. Let me go back to another issue where we as a center of Kosovo, we have done a lot telling the politicians we need it there, and 4,000 people, and we do not know how many others are missing. So why shouldn't we have an obelisk? At the Democratic Party time, it has been the fence of the assembly was put down to make an obelisk and to send flowers on the 27th of April, which was declared a day of missing persons in Kosovo. Everyone from Prince Charles and whoever came, they put a flower and asked the question, how many people went and who does this memorial represent? Every politician or family member explains that this is a memorial that represents all the missing persons. They have a wall in between. These are being looked and without faith or religion distinction. And the youth initiative has put a plaque in 3 languages. We said that this obelisk includes everyone. We have asked this kind of obelisk to be built in Belgrade as well. We didn't want to say this number of many Albanians, Ashkalis, Egyptians, but missing persons. Because there are people who came to Merdara, around 1,000 people. They want to have a place in the center of Belgrade, since it is not being done. The second question, Yasmina said the truth. We said that the government committee has stagnated. It's not even complete. We did not have a meeting except with media and in writing. I received from Andin Hoti, who says that it has been understood in Ohrid and it shall continue in the highest level. What Vucic and Kurti signed, we don't know, but there are some things that we did not say before the media, and it remained political issues. This is the information that we have from the media. So that Radio RTV 21 says something else, Dukajin said something else here. And in detail, Besim Hoti, Besim Bislimi, he should ask all associations without distinction and to explain what is being agreed upon and what is needed more, and to tell us in a way that this issue is not going with the required speed, because they are not allowed by the highest level. So we do not have that information, although Bayram went to the office of both of them, and on the 28th, 27th of April, I said these words to the Prime Minister. Mister, shall you give us concrete issues on missing persons or not? I received the answer, Basa Bayram, I shall work to the extent I can. And no, I asked the question, you know a lot, but how much you can do, I do not know. But do not forget that the children are children. We have the right, although when we do not have the right, we are not the ones that want to make inhumane pressure, but we are speaking as to what is humane. Sometimes it is spoken about that criminals are in Hague. Never. Not once, but never. Those that were before, the ones that, what shall they say tomorrow, are not compared with people who are known to have sent 800 people in Batajnica. Many a time it is spoken about the Yellow House. In international comments, it was said that it does not exist. About 180 people from Batajnica were children. Do we have to look into why are they sent without organs. This is a political issue, and not to have headaches that because it is not in our domain. It was established in a political part. Hague is not for us. It's for politics. And if I say something about The Hague before or after, or for this one or that one, I am wrong, because I do not know it. I know that in Mitrovica, 12 trucks have been taken with people, and they have license plates. They went to the north part. Some of them were found, 42 in graves, and the rest were found in Rudnica. 420 people started from Mitrovica. Witnesses are alive. Who is protecting them? Politics. Who does not want to send them before the court of politics? What can we do? Let us ask internationals, the power that they have, moral, material, political, to help us and to put the right thing, do the right thing in shedding light into the missing persons. We want justice. Justice without a power. So it should be international politics, a politics that shall shed light into the missing persons unit. It is in politics' interest to cry for 100 years like we did for our grandfathers and forefathers. I shall die and I shall not get any information about my children. They shall die, those mothers of 67, 68, they shall die, and they will not know how their husbands or sons died. And would like to make an international appeal to close the mouth of Pristina and Belgrade. They have satellite images that they can close this process in a very short time when they are serious. I owe to Yasmina and I don't know who else concerning the Forensic Institute. There is very few there are very few remains. There are 300 and something more. We have arms, hands, legs. I don't know, maybe you had the chance to visit it. I went there to visit it many times. There are some parts that are mixed. They are of bor, mašterščica, trepcha. They are carbonized or burned. They did not give enough results. With the new DNA, even if a piece of hair can give results, there are many few bodies. And the 8 are only of Mitrovica, there are others, but mortal remains are more. And they should be delivered to the family. Thank you. We do not have that much time. Can you shortly tell us if the members of the Association of Missing Persons has been consulted before this agreement, or have you been informed of this agreement from Belgrade or from Pristina? As for consultation with families of missing persons, they never consulted us. Everything that we knew is from media, even though I am that part of that negotiation team. We should have someone from the missing person's family so that we could point on some mistakes and to ask as family members what we should do. but it was not made possible to us. Those discussions are on political level, and the international community is there, and of course it harms us a lot to the resolution of the missing persons issue. And I think that since we have asked many a time to be part of that negotiation team and to take our statements, our desires, because if it is signed that Pristina and Belgrade should give everything that they possess in that archive, it is nothing new because it has already agreed many times before. Has anyone given, and to what degree, we do not know, but we know that the international community, International Red Cross Committee, through the working group, got from all countries which in 1999 were here, over 4 million documents which speak of those crimes that happened in this area. And if this is sufficient enough to start from somewhere, is it worth when everything is given, when there are documents and it has never been used? That's why I would like to be part of that negotiation team so that we could prove their mistakes and what is very necessary or needed for us. Thank you. Yasmina mentioned, Silvana, the truth is that we have asked to be part of the dialogue, but in the part concerning humane issues and not political issues. Unfortunately, no family member has been asked to go and get informed because no one can understand to the degree as a family member does, and just like Silvana, Yasmina, or Bayram, and many other mothers who have asked a long time ago to be part of the negotiating teams, but it is not convenient for the politics, and we are as we are. Concerning the other part, I always get away from politics, although we cannot help but mention it. I am interested in shedding light into the missing person's face, and the appeal is that all actors that are involved in this process should help us. One question: who is responsible that for the last 2 years, as Yasmina said, there was no work in shedding light into the missing persons unit? I think that you received the answer at the beginning, that politics has stagnated the process, that it is not going forward. There were 2 heavy words for Serbia that did not admit, and then the first meeting, they said Dalovic turned out to be a criminal. He wanted to do criminal charges. I do not know if they have done it or not. But Vucic has never replaced him, and he never thought of it. The second one, they said that people have been forcibly taken. To remove the word forcibly or by force. Is there anyone who thinks or who is a human being? And he said that they went 400 kilometers or the person was buried 2 kilometers away. Forcibly or by force. There is no one that can think that force has not been used during the fight and the violence. All these were some political games, and it touches us, the unseriousness of missing persons issue touching us. You cannot stagnate the negotiation team, government committee on these two words. That it is said violence or by force. I do not know what politics is thinking on this or on that side, but international ones as well. Why do they get stuck for some issues that are not good, neither for us nor for them? On the occasion of the question why in the recent 2 years nothing has been done, who is responsible? Uncle Bayram said that it is the politics is responsible for that. The bearers of that politics, Prime Minister Kurti, seems to have stopped the discussions on missing persons issues because Veljko Odalovic, as the head of the Missing Persons Commission, and he has been on the head of that commission for more than 10 years, and that it is complete. I do my work with the predecessor and the colleague Vladimir Nikolic is from Pristina, so that Prime Minister Kurti, it was a problem that Veljko Odalovic was the head of that commission. But this is, on the other hand, these are negotiations, and negotiators are not chosen by the other party. He cannot choose negotiators. If he is serious about resolving the issue, he should not talk about the negotiators, but to set it right. So who would be more responsible, or why? It's another question. Kosov Jyoti from Euronews. I have a question for everyone and one for Ms. Živkovic. Initially, I would like to know what you have done since you represent missing persons families to exert pressure at the governments of both countries to do more, or what should be done by both the governments. Uncle Bayram was quite critical against the Kosovo government, although we did not hear that much about Belgrade government. Živkovic mentioned Yellow House. I think that some people are being tried in Hague and not guilty ones. The charges against them are based on Dick Marty's report, which includes the Yellow House, and before starting the trial against them, they have reformulated the indictment, and the Yellow House and 99% of Dick Marty's report has been thrown away from the Hague prosecution office. How can you ask for an investigation or you do not believe to the result given by the Hague concerning the Yellow House? Thank you. Thank you for the question. I carefully follow the Hague process because it's a process. And as we agreed, we do not want to be politicized. And the indictment includes 4 places in Albania. If it is 90%, 50%, or whatever percentage, 4 places are included as potential places or locations where people have been held against their will. And it is in the investigation phase, so you cannot throw away the possibility that it did not take place. I reiterate, the idea itself is very awful. And if someone would like it not to be true, it is the family members. I wouldn't like my family members to end there. But it is necessary to know the truth, and you cannot that easily throw away the investigations that are on the Hague Tribunal. There are critics for both parties. And the responsibility lies on both sides because we came to that the investigators are not working, the science is not working, but politicians are working. As I said at the beginning, the politics is about interest. If family members of missing persons in unit be in the interest of somebody, we cannot prejudge it. And the critics is on both parties. Can I just add something concerning your question? I think that concerning the investigation on Yellow House, it has not been thrown away, but in order to investigate the Yellow House, it is necessary. The permit of that country is necessary because it is in Albania and it's a country which is another country. In order to do investigation, it should be permitted by the side of their prosecution office. This is not thrown away. It shall be done. We are in the process, and we are interested in that. And we are asking for the answer that we have received from the side of responsible people that the investigation of that part was they have the wish to investigate concerning the Yellow House, but in order to do it, they need the permit of the prosecution office of Albania. When the permit is given, they can do it. They said that they are working on it, and they hope that the representatives of government, Albania's government, will allow the investigations to go on. As Yasmina said, we wouldn't like it to be truth. But in order not to think of that and not to sleep and rise with that concern, it is in our interest for that to be investigated and to prove and demand that we would understand a real truth. Any other question? I have a question for all of you. How do you assess the declaration approved by Pristina and Belgrade in Brussels? There is no time limit as to what and where should be implemented and what it says in general. I shall go backwards a bit. A court was mentioned a lot, a political court was mentioned a lot, the Hague Court. It's a word. I don't want to say what I do not know. And politics, day and night, is trying to fog things for us family members and no concrete word. The question is, dear Yunus, what have we done to exert bigger pressure at all these actors that are not carrying out what we are asking for? The Resource Center has held regular meetings, sending various appeals to Belgrade and Pristina, telling even to the internationals and to you media, help us to shed light into the missing persons' fate, and especially in those places when we have documentation with square meter and even with centimeters. We have done it, sometimes in writing and sometimes during the meetings. We said it with family members who are in Belgrade. There are 3 associations that are our neighbors They went there and they live in the territory of Belgrade. It means all those of the resource center that have complained that nothing is being done, we went to their homes. The resource center did more than the government commission and working groups, and unfortunately even the politics which mention the strategy that they are doing, or they have a strategy for the work. Not once, lady, but many times we have said, do not go to Brussels without preparations, without a strategy, or you should have a clear work as to what should be done further. We have appealed. I have the meeting through ICMP and through the honored ambassador of Norway, Sweden, where they said that it is our plan and program for missing persons with their help and the Swedish donors, and they made a plan program in the association and what they have invested in order to open the ears to the ones that are not working. I will say it once more. We are not competent to speak about the high courts that are thought by internationals, but we are saying how many prosecutors we ask them questions. I ask questions in that meeting, and the person who has been replaced, he says, no, we have an offer to have 12 investigating police officers in the Republic of Kosovo for this, because we had only 3 people for this category. It gives kind of a hope from that meeting that some things will be shed light into. 12 people are not few concerning all crimes that we have given with dates and that they have in their archives, and someone mentioned. If Bayram Cherkini has made a crime, I have made a crime, and I say that I have the document, leave that somewhere. People who have committed the crime, they do not say where they have sent them. They wouldn't have worked in vain for 6 years in Rudnica, so now they say in Bor. Ms. Kandish says this number of people was in Masterpiece. Do you think that I took them there? No. No one did this. I will not give you the document, but who? Those who have followed them to Batajnica, those who have seen them go to Bor, they should give the documents. Here they are. The number, we need the number and to soften the issue of missing persons. Don't expect to open the dossiers of those who have committed crimes. No, man. Archives are not opened that easily. The police archives were opened, but not of the army. They can only be opened by those who have photographed them. Nobody else can do it. The friend asked, how do you assess the declaration approved by Pristina and Belgrade? There is no timeline as to what and when should things be done. Can you tell us shortly about this one? Can we start from Silvana, since we are coming to an end? Of course, since it is all politics, in that debate there is no time limit, because they would oblige themselves and they would meet it. That's why we don't have any time frame. Unfortunately, we would like to have a time limit so that they would be obliged with that, but there is no. That's why they never thought that we should be part of that team as family members. Ms. Zhivkovic, you know what time has gone. 24 years. And we still do not know what has happened to missing persons. I think that all timelines have been exceeded, and the setting of a new timeline would have no sense at all. All the institutions have failed from the very beginning and from the first missings in this territory, because the time starts to be counted from that moment. This statement, to the degree that we understand it's general, that it should be another meeting where they would thoroughly talk about the declaration. This is what we get from the media. Whether the media will oblige about some timelines, we don't believe. Considering that, I would make use of the chance to have a joint message that family members know that there are information and they have always existed. And we appeal that it is the last time to come out with those information and to know what happened to our beloved ones. And the media like the tool that we can use against politics. It is difficult to say that politicians do not have a timeline for the work that they have made foggy, and they still think to push the forwards that they have been dragged for 25 years. They have no timeline, no strategy, no seriousness concerning missing persons issue, and I think that they will delay it for a very long time, dealing with the explanation of a single verb and to make it a phrase that nobody can further understand. I do not have trust. Maybe they will start tomorrow. That they have to start and think, especially the working group, to deal immediately with the issue that it has been established for, both in Pristina and in Belgrade. These two parts are established and obliged to sit every month and discuss on missing persons issue. And it's been 26 months that they have not met and they have not set a date when to meet. And the other oversight political body, it should oversee their strategy. It has not been done. Do you believe it shall be done? I think that they will just go in discussions. And one thing, it was mentioned here from Yasmina, families, whatever they have to submit. Whatever family member that received a document from Bayram, from this person, it applies. If he has submitted it so far, he will maintain the document to protect the criminal, just like politics. The documentation that family members have is like prosecutor's office. I say, the family member who comes out and says I have documents without submitting them, he defends the criminal, whoever he is. He will say in detail to Bayram whatever he says from that day and up to now, they should have submitted them. I will reiterate, if they protect and maintain in the table here, you are defending criminals that committed crimes. I ask you not to use or to say that there are family members without submitting the document. Thank you. Thank you to the panel members for your time and taking part in this discussion. Thank you, colleagues, and I wish you a good day.